Baby girl, you are so pretty, 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 pretty. Baby girl, you are so pretty, 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 pretty. Females need you just to trick me, trick me, trick me, trick me.
Hi, if you are seeing this, it means my book, Everything Was Here But You, is out now. This book touches on love, loss, grief, and the weird feeling that something is missing when you're building your beautiful, big, accomplished dream life. Check it out now. I'm sure you will find something in this book that you can relate to, and I hope it feels like a huge hug. You can get it now on Amazon and barnesandnoble.com. Hey everyone, today I'm honored to welcome back an amazing guest. Hey, how are you? Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Shawndre Leydon, and I am a licensed mental health counselor and founder of A Better Tomorrow Counseling.
It's definitely going to be a better tomorrow when people go on a retreat. Do you want to talk a little bit about the retreats that you guys are implementing and maybe the benefits and why someone should really go on one? Because I feel like we always hear oh, a retreat, clear your mind, and we all laugh about it because it's so woo-woo wellness. But I think a lot of people overlook, the real benefits because going to retreats can really help your mind and physical health and maybe even your relationships, as we were talking about.
Absolutely, absolutely. It does wonders to get you out of your natural environment to kind of reset, and that is the benefit of a retreat. You're completely immersed in not just treatment, but meeting new people and having these unique experiences in a group with other people. So it's definitely something that to your point, I think people are like, oh, like is a retreat for me? Or, why can't I just do that right by myself? Or why would I go somewhere to have that experience? And I would say kind of don't knock it until you try it. I had similar thoughts of just affordability and right, if I'm going to go on vacation, I don't want to work on myself. I want to just have fun, right, type of thing. And then I went and actually went on a retreat more than just like my normal conferences. I'll go to Orlando or Miami. I went on an actual immersive 9-day retreat, and it changed my life. And it really set into effect, this is the next level of treatment for me to offer my patients, right? To look at and to say, okay, we feel stuck. Okay, we're, making progress, but maybe we're not where we want to be or where we need to be. And what does this look like that could really benefit you to be in an immersive experience outside of the country for days on end, right? And we have this really great balance of doing some great group work and coursework with some really fun experiences, adventures, excursions, because you're in the jungle. So you have to be doing something besides just sitting in a group all day. So I'm so excited. We have actually two separate retreats coming up for 2026. The first one is called Reconnecting Our Hearts. It's a couples retreat. It doesn't matter if you're married or just in a relationship. There's no criteria as far as the establishment of the relationship, but looking to reconnect our hearts. So what does that mean? People who feel like they've maybe achieved only companionship. They're in love with their partner, but they don't feel like they're in love every day, right? The spark maybe is missing. They've become roommates. Intimacy is poor. Communication is poor, right? The things that we notice kind of collaboratively take a dip when we're right so overworked and so over busy. You may spend time with your partner, but is it actual quality time, right? We're always sitting on the couch, each of us on our phones type of thing. So reconnecting our hearts, getting us back to each other. And we have some amazing things. I feel like I could probably talk all day, and I don't want to do that, but
You should honestly, that's what we'd love to do here.
yeah,
That's
no,
why I started
so
talking.
excited. So excited. We're gonna have some really fun activities along with some really intensive work, right? So we're gonna be doing a cooking class, watching a couple follow a recipe together. That will tell us so much, right? Who takes the lead, who maybe has trouble following direction, right? Things like that. We're going to be having some fun salsa dancing classes. We have yoga every morning. And these retreats, we have the full resort to ourselves, right? So all the food is included. Like you just have to show up, literally. And yeah, so very exciting stuff. We're also be able to do zip lining, pickleball, right? Like, so there's fun physical activities too, as you're not stuck sitting in sitting somewhere all day. And by the way, where we're holding our classes is in a yoga shala that overlooks the Pacific Ocean. So it's not a bad vibe.
Yeah,
Um,
that's sign me up on the way. Like that's anything by the beach. Absolutely. That's a retreat in itself.
Yeah, no, there's monkeys that will come right up on the porch and are right around the resort and the trees. I mean, it's so immersive and beautiful. So that's our Reconnecting Our Hearts retreat. And then we're also doing a retreat for individuals. Back in 2024, I wrote an article that was published called Embracing Your Solitude. And it talked about kind of from COVID, right? Like how many people isolated, and we learned that we can, right, order our groceries, work from home, do everything remote to where we don't have to really socialize, and it became socially acceptable to isolate a little bit. And we talked about the difference between healthy isolation and non-healthy, right? So non-healthy, for example, would look like, right, purposely avoiding events, purposely avoiding interactions with people. Solitude is a healthy way to have some isolation in your life. And solitude is things that bring you joy, right? I can go and sit and eat at a restaurant alone because I enjoy taking in the nature, observing others, right? I don't feel sad or lonely about it. I actually enjoy the experience, right? Taking time for self-care is a part of our solitude. So it only made sense when we started the retreat part of A Better Tomorrow to start to think about what people really benefit from. And in so many sessions, Rylan, do I hear people say that they don't feel they have purpose. They feel like they know this better version of themselves, but they're their own barrier from achieving it, right? So they know what they should do, but they just don't. And they feel stuck, and the days just go into one another, and there's brain fog, right? Like there's all
Right.
these things that I was hearing these patterns of. And I started to think, I'm talking about self-care. I'm talking about self-care. Well, right. And it led me back to this article. And I said, oh my God, there it is. I wrote an article about how to serve yourself, how to go into yourself and really find happiness. And then I thought to myself, there is no better place to find yourself than in the jungle in Costa Rica, right? You're stripping it down to be vulnerable, to be bare. And it all just came together where I was like, that has to be the individual retreat this year, is embracing your solitude. So wonderful for so many people. You're going to do some inner self-reflection, some work on self. We'll be giving out journals for some prompting each night. And we're still having all the other fun activities as well, the yoga, the zip lining, right? So, but there is going to be a little difference in that retreat that, obviously the couples, we want them to be reconnecting. In this one, we're taking a step back with individuals and saying, actually, we want you to disconnect a little bit, right? We want you to go sit under a tree and right, meditate for a little bit, or have a little bit of time to yourself and work on some self-care, get a massage while you're there, right? Like, so it really is going to be a relaxing experience that you can still have that community in, because you'll be doing it with many others. So I'm so excited about both.
Oh,
I think
definitely. This is really cool. I think you really hit the nail on the head when you said a lot of people lost themselves after COVID. And like, we really normalized the fact of like, okay, I can do so much within my own environment and at home. Like, I can order groceries online. I can, really be in my space. But like, your space only does so much for you. Like, you can only find so much zen within your own environment. And I think like your environment really plays a role. And maybe you have kids, maybe you have not the best family situation or life. And even if, that's not ongoing at the moment, like the energy is still in the room, and you need to sometimes get out of your house and get out of your environment and work on yourself, go somewhere else. And I think the disconnect after the COVID-19 pandemic is insane. People feel more depressed and more anxious and upset. And I think that is really going to encourage people to get a retreat, whether it's a couple or just an individual. I think we all need to escape and explore a new environment sometimes. Maybe the jungle, take some selfies with some monkeys, get yourself out there. But it's insane. Like, I've even found like sometimes just being in my house stresses me out because like I have the dogs and then I have, my mom, and I love my mom, but like, it's do this, do that. I'm like, no, 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 I need to, you gotta like breathe and get away from things that you tend to daily. I think it's important.
I couldn't agree with you more, Rylan. And like I said, I think we are offering a great deal. Everything, like I said, is included with the resort. Your meals are included. And I think it's very well priced for people to afford. We want people to be able to come comfortably, not with a financial restraint. So these retreats are happening in October of this year, which is a beautiful time to be in Costa Rica. It's part of the wet season, so everything is lush and green and full of life. And it's just a great time to be there. So I really am excited to share this with people and to just get the word out there. I mean, it's really a work of passion for me. Like I said, the retreat that I had done was really life-changing for me. And it's something I knew I had to find a way to share with others. So it definitely comes from a place of passion.
I think I want to ask you, I mean, we kind of touched on this, but what kind of individuals can really gravitate towards a retreat, and maybe what mental health conditions can this retreat support? I think it's really, again, cool to explore holistic approaches. And while like medication's great and therapy's amazing, sometimes retreat and natural like practices really can help you.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, anxiety, depression, right, are the two that would come to my mind. Trauma is a huge one. And we actually really incorporated that experience into this. It is optional. Everybody who comes does not have to partake, but we will have the potential for a psilocybin journey with some plant medicine while we're there to enhance the experience and to do some trauma work. It's not something that I'm offering, but it is available there in Costa Rica. And I think that that is something that I would love to educate people more on, because I think it can just do amazing trauma work for people who have been stuck with grief, with right, a post-traumatic or a chronic post-traumatic syndrome. I could go on and on at just the benefits of it. So that's also a real bonus to this, is that we have those options being in another country to incorporate things that we couldn't do here. As you know, I do the ketamine assisted psychotherapy here, and that's really helpful for people. Psilocybin would be the next step in that. And it's life changing. I've heard nothing but amazing stories from people who have experienced it and have been able to work through their trauma that they were stuck in for so long.
And again, like, I really love the approach to help people find themselves and maybe find the love that they've had within their partner. Because I feel like sometimes we get so caught up in the routine and in the normal, hustle and bustle. It's like take the kids to school, make dinner, go to bed, and we all forget like we fell in love with this person or we fell in love with this life for a reason, and we need to really discover that and get back to that. I mean, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of some of the sessions you've had with couples that really like made you realize, wow, like intimacy is dead in some relationships, and I need to really create a space where we can reconnect with ourselves but also our partner?
Communication and intimacy go hand in hand. If we're not communicating well, intimacy suffers. If we're not having intimacy, we stop communicating by default. So they go hand in hand. And I think that I would say a majority of my couples that I work with, that is an underlying issue in almost every scenario you can think of where those start to suffer. And seeing the decline of that, we know that we're in an area where we need to work out some issues. I think that it's preventative, right, to have those conversations. But the retreat also isn't for, you don't have to be in couples therapy to attend the retreat. You can wish that you had improvement on those things, but not necessarily need therapy, right? So there really isn't therapy in this retreat. There is some education, and then there's a lot of group exercises and activities. But I don't want people to think they're sitting in a 8 hour therapy session in Costa Rica, right? Like that's something that we would, obviously help the person if they wanted to, refer for that afterwards. But I think, just really focusing on those two things are probably 90% of what most people go through, right? When they're having issues in their relationship. Part of that, I'm really excited. Our yoga instructor, who's going to be leading morning yoga, she's very in touch with mind body type of things. And she will be teaching the salsa dancing also. She's from Brazil. She's an amazing woman. And she's going to also, for people who want to improve intimacy, have a little discussion about how to massage your partner, right? How to do things like that, which, right, we're not going to be sitting there hands on, but like, right, like intimacy doesn't just mean sex. And sometimes people get that really confused, right? Intimacy is hugging, kissing, holding hands, cuddling, right? And we get away from all of those things. The sex is usually the most obvious one that starts to decrease, but then you'll start to see a decrease in the others as well.
And I think again, like that really gets lost through translation of like the typical hustle and bustle of life. And I think creating this retreat where people can reflect and really realize, like, wow, I need to incorporate this within my daily routine. Like, yeah, my priorities and responsibilities as an adult and working person are important. So is my relationship, because I think there really is that disconnect and blur of, living life and really enjoying life. We're not robots.
Absolutely, absolutely. And part of the education part is going to be teaching how to effectively communicate with each other, right? We
So many
can
people
fight and we can argue, but do we do it fairly? Right, exactly,
your son, our generation, it's insane to me how everyone just thinks communication is optional. I'm like, communication is key. We need to communicate within relationships, within your job, within your workplace. And I think realizing that and really having a place like the retreat where you can learn those skills and develop them is so important, because you can't expect to be better at something if you're not, if you're avoiding the tools that will make you better at it.
Well, and there's so many layers, right? We think of communication just verbally, but right, there's body language, there's so many cues that are not verbal that take part in, right, in our communication. When I ask couples to do a very easy exercise, which is to take 30 seconds, right? 30 seconds, super fast, and just staring into each other's eyes. Almost every couple that I give that challenge to feels it's very awkward and they struggle to do it for just 30 seconds. Can you imagine?
No, I can't imagine because I think
Ah,
again, like, we're all on our phones hiding whatever. We forget physical communication and looking at someone, not just, talking at them, talking with them, looking in their eyes and being a human. Like the amount of people don't have eye contact with me when I'm talking to them, I'm like, oh my God, I feel like a grandma saying, like, look into my eyes. What the heck?
yeah. Well, and there is a unspoken intimacy. It's not just communication when we stare into somebody's eyes when we're speaking to them, when we look into their soul, when our eyes are saying more than our mouth can, right? Of staring at someone, those emotions become very strong, which is why people laugh, they look away, because it becomes a protective mechanism, because it's a very vulnerable moment to stare into someone's eyes for a prolonged amount of time, even just 30 seconds.
I agree, and I think it's really important to realize that and get better at it. Again, like, we all have these skills and things that will make us a better partner or person within whatever aspect of our lives. And just having something like the retreat you can go back on and reflect and really like learn about yourself, but also how to better your life. Because I think a lot of people like, they'll attend therapy and like that's an amazing step to take. You're bettering your health physically and mentally because it's coordinated for sure, but it's like not everyone absorbs what your therapist is telling you. Like you guys only have so much control. You can't break into my house, for example. I'm very compliant, but you can't break into my house and be like, yeah, Rylan, get up and take your medicine and function, like, do good things, journal, like do these things for your health. Like you can tell someone what to do as a therapist, but you can't make them do it. And I think that really shows like doing this retreat not only is good for your physical but mental health, it is you taking the steps to actively better yourself and develop skills. Like if you sign up for this retreat, you're committing to it and you're committing to bettering your health in that way. And it's not like you're just going to sit in a therapy room or on the couch and be like, yeah, 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 sure, like nodding your head. It's physical, it's a practice that you're going to implement without your well within your real life when you return.
Absolutely. And I would say anybody who has any fear of that is right of taking and doing a retreat and really immersing yourself. The fear of not doing anything should be bigger than that,
I
right? You will get something out of it. That I would almost personally guarantee you, right? And I don't guarantee many things, but I've gone through it and I just, like I said, it's something I think everybody should be able to try, and we've tried to make that as possible as we can. So
And I think the fact that you've experienced it also shows like you're not just saying it for promotion or for advertising. Like it helped you. And I think that's the best thing in life when you've endured something and it works and you want to help others heal and embrace a new outlook of healing. There's so many forms of wellness and health. And I think retreats are really cool. Our typical retreat is, oh, don't touch your phone for like 3 days and do yoga in the sand. But I think what's so cool about this one that you're talking about through your practice is it's interactive and you're not going to be isolated. You're going to be with other people. You're going to be bettering your health, but also enjoying it. And I think instead of this whole like solitude retreat of you're by yourself, it's like this boot camp vibe, you're going to be able to have fun and eat good food and see good sights. And I think that's really cool because we forget healing can be enjoyed.
absolutely. And I've heard of retreats like that, right? Where you kind of hand over your phone and maybe even, right, you practice your solitude and silence. I feel like that's a little extreme and I'm sure it's wonderful. I'm not knocking it in any way. It's just not what this retreat is.
I agree. And
Yeah, yeah, no. Yeah.
I think that's really cool because it shows like not only are you guys different, but you're also like more updated with what everyone wants to do. Because I feel like what's more popular within, my generation and just like the current status is interactive, traveling, exploring, not this like boot camp vibe. No one's gonna want to go to that. Like that's so like outdated. You would not pay me good money to go. I'm so sorry. But Costa Rica sounds fun. Like I'll go to
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? Like, and that's really cool because it's more enticing. And it's like, wow, like healing can be fun. It doesn't have to be this rigid practice. And I think people need to realize that.
Absolutely. And Costa Rica sells itself, right? Like there's nobody that won't fall in love with it when they step foot there. And never mind the resort itself. I can't plug Aves enough that they're just an amazing resort. And you can check out their website for yourself. It's Aves in Montezuma, Costa Rica. It's breathtaking, right? So that part of it sells itself. I don't need to do anything about that. So but I'd love for people to consider contacting us if they want more information. I do want to offer Ryland's podcast listeners $500 off their package. So if you are interested and you let us know that you found out about the retreat through this podcast, you will absolutely receive a discount in order to go.
I love that. Thank you so much. I think wellness and health should be something that we all prioritize. And I think, again, finances can really go involved into why people don't do that. It's like, oh, taking care of myself is expensive. That's going to pay money. I got to pay money for that. And I think realizing like, health and wellness is something that's important. And while you do sometimes have to put expenses into it, at the end of the day, it's going to benefit you. It's never going to harm you, and it's only going to make you a better person. So that's very generous of you. For everyone listening, you should definitely check it out. What is your website for everyone to go explore and find this option of healing and health and wellness? Come on, guys, go to Costa Rica. You need to.
Absolutely. It's www.abettertomorrowcounseling.net. If you want any specific information, you can email us at contact@abettertomorrowcounseling.net. Call us at 772-353-2485. And yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, it'd be hard for me to break down pricing right here, but I want to say for an all week inclusive where your meals are included, the resorts included, it's not much more than you would pay to go everywhere that would be all week inclusive. So, we're not talking thousands of dollars here. So it's absolutely affordable for people who want to come. And like I said, this is a work of passion. So to give that experience to people is just so exciting for me. So I hope people reach out. I hope they have interest in coming or pass along the information to someone they think can benefit from it. And yeah, we'll see you in October. We're so excited.
Thank you so much for joining me again. We got to make you a recurring guest. I always love chatting with you, and I think people find this conversation very informing. So thank you for joining me.
No, thank you, Rylan. Thank you for having me.
It was really a healing convo. I mean, I got to go to a retreat now this weekend, but they're not touching my phone.
There you go.
You can try it out.